Hello, welcome to the Student Records program made in SQLite. So here we have a small menu, and first we're going to see the data because it's easier to know what we want to do from there. And here I have this table with the student ID and some information from them. So if I want to add data, I can go to option one. It says, where do you want to add this information? And I will say add personal information. And let's create an ID, add a name. I don't know. This takes me a minute every time. Mm. Then an email. All right, so it says that information was added, and when we say see data, I can see that that's the last one here in my table now. And now if I want to update, let's say that again, I want a Gmail instead of BYUI email. So I will say what's the ID of the student, and if I say something that is not right, it's gonna say the ID is not in the records. So I'll go back and I'll select that student. This is which field you want to update. I'll actually say birthday this time. And then I'll say Monday, 17, 2007. And then it says the birthday was updated. So when I come back, this is the new date over here. Um, Now if I want to create a table, what do you want to call that table? I'll say practice because I kind of prepare a little bit for that one. And this is indicating that the table was created. So when I want to add data, now I select add to a new table. What's the name of the table? What value do you want to add? I'll say, I don't know. Is this values added to the table? And when I say see data, now I have this new table with that information in there. Lastly, if I want to delete a table, I can select this option. And do you know, like a lot of information goes into these tables, but so you don't want to just delete something. So I decided to add a password. And if the password is not correct, it's going to tell the person. What table do you want to delete? And then, are you sure you want to delete that table? And then you say yes, and he says, no, it actually doesn't say anything. But when I say see data, that new table is not here anymore. I'm just left with this table. And then I'll just close the program. It says thanks. Now let's see a little bit of the code. I really found this super exciting because things work out and I don't know, it's really nice. But here by default, I just created a personal info table on the school info. And then something really nice is that here when I choose to see data, I joined those two tables. So even when they are two different tables, you see them as together because I joined them and they are joined by the student ID. So when I want to update data, I'm using the student ID here because that's the part that is joined between the two tables. And then it's easier to keep the consistency and make sure you're not updating information from a different student. Or let's say that two students have the same name, I can just select the ID and I avoid that kind of mistakes. And then here I select the field that I want to update and just whatever information the user inserts, then it's going to commit that and it's going to print the new one. For adding data, here is the same. I just ask the user what they want to do, and then I ask them as well, what's the information that you want to add? And then I insert that in here by using this variable. Um, let's see. This is for the new table. If they select the option two, it's gonna also ask the new name of that table, so I can like deal with different inputs when I'm adding that data. Then for creating a table, it's pretty similar when you're using SQLite and creating a database because you just need to use the commands that are like to create a table or to select everything and it's going to print that information. Then here I'm doing a little bit of cleaning. So in case someone adds something that has too many spaces and that wouldn't be acceptable for a table name, it cleans it up a little bit and it uses that table name and the column name that they created. And then it just prints it. That's the way to make sure that the table is actually created. Lastly, to delete a table, this is the password. I can change this to any value I want, and then whatever the user puts, if that's equal to the password that is supposed to be, then it asks the user what they want to do with that. And if that's not the password, then it's going to say it's incorrect, and it just closes the program. And then closing the program here, it breaks, so it doesn't keep asking the questions. And if there's like something that is not part of the ocean, it's just gonna let them know that they need to select again. And that's the program. Thank you.